Hi, do you want to learn how to speedrun Splatoon 3? No? Well, you clicked on the video, you're gonna learn anyway. Okay, this is basically just a tutorial on how to get started in speedrunning for Splatoon 3. I'll teach you how to do all the cool speedrun skips and explain the route for collecting power rigs across the overworld. Let me know if you want one of these for the other games, and let's begin. Now, the tutorial area and long beginning cutscene are not counted in the speedrun. The time starts when you enter the crater for the first time. But to make it quicker to get to Splatsville, remember that there is a dev-intended speedrun skip, and also to remember to start in the shoal and then enter the crater. For some reason this makes the loading screen go faster, but only by a few milliseconds. First cool thing is where if you stay to the far right here, just on the little lip that the fence is on, you somehow don't activate a little bit of dialogue. Then we go to Crater 1, which is pretty simple, just use small fry to hit this balloonfish, and finish the level. Remember that sub-weapons, like small fry, can instantly open up zapfish bubbles and these weird spikes. Small fry has a cooldown between clearing ooze, so to clear the next few blotches of fuzzy ooze, clear the first one, then while small fry's cooldown is happening, open Crater 2 and ink a path to it, then clear the next ooze and go straight into Crater 2. Here in Crater 2 is where the first cool speedrun skip takes place. Ink the ground at the start lot to charge up your splashdown. Then you can jump off this edge and activate the splashdown right before you start going down. If done correctly, you should activate a checkpoint and respawn up there after you die. Alternative to this is to play the level normally, but use the splashdown on the zip dash to skip upwards in a super cool looking strat. You can even skip the rest of the level by inking this wall and climbing up it, then just simply jump up this dash track and finish the level. Crater 3 also has some big skips in it. If you stand in the right place, I like to do just in between this barcode and this metal line, and aim small fry in this right spot where the aiming thingy just aligns with the white bar, then throw small fry, and he should clip through the key box and be able to hit the ink rail somehow. Then you can collect the bottom key and take it with you into the next area, which can also be skipped by inking the switch slightly. Not too much that it activates, just the very edge, and climb up it to do a squid surge and get to the very top. Then you can collect the key you're usually supposed to get last, and combine that with the other key, and you can open up both boxes without needing to go to the side areas. Crater 4 is pretty boring compared to the last two levels. At the end you need to kill a bunch of enemies that are hiding around, so throw small fry to hit one guy, and while that fish is eating him, go around clockwise and take out the rest of the Octarians. This is so when you kill them all you can quickly climb up the rising platforms to get on top before the opening disappears. Call small fry back and hit the final ooze while you're falling. This might not be that much faster, but it looks super cool, and don't worry, the cutscene overrides the death. Now we're at Octavio, who is basically done normally other than using splashdowns to hit back the hands instantly. And also, small bug that saves time, save a splashdown for the start of phase 2, where he would usually do a long bit with an ink vac, but if you hit back the drill punch with a splashdown, and while doing that, mash the R button, so as soon as your splashdown finishes, small fry gets stuck in the ink vac, even though there's no ink vac there. And he even stays there after the ink vac goes away. This skips having to put small fry in there later, and he will instantly send out his next fist, so charge up the splashdown quickly. After Octavio dies, quit and restart the game to skip the long cutscene that normally plays. You'll do this with every boss from now on, except for Fry, and I'll explain why later. And now we enter Alterna, where the run really starts to get interesting. First off, a lot of mashing through dialogue. And even more once you reach the first Alterna level. At least it isn't like Octo Expansion. Get to know Alterna has 3 keys that you have to open up in 3 gates. Just remember the path to them and do it quickly. In this level, you'll need to collect at least 25 power eggs. It shouldn't be a problem because the eggs are everywhere. You can actually just do it in 2 keys with this very difficult squid roll skip, but I find it too difficult and inconsistent. Also know that the Trizuka can be skipped with a well-thrown small fry. Clear the first ooze and grab the sunken scroll. When you get scrolls, decorations, and gold records, the game will give you a lot of upgrade points. You'll want a fully upgraded hero shot for some of the later bosses. Do 1-8, what caused the Big Bang. This level can be beaten in under 3 seconds, and it gives you plenty of eggs. Jump up here with a cool sort of skip, collect this Sardinium, this record, and these 2 power egg cans. Now it's time for our first ooze skip. Ooze skips are the biggest skips in the game, being able to skip levels worth of power eggs. The first one is this ooze. Open up this level so you can super jump to it in case you mess up. Ink this bit of ground, and the ground on the other side. Stand on the very edge, and swim and do a big jump. Jump on the very edge and you should be able to land on the other side. If you didn't get enough eggs in 1-1, you can also grab a 25 egg pack that's in the ground here. Alternative to this skip is clearing this 200 and then just jumping across. Much easier, but it does mean you have to grab an extra 200. Next, grab this egg can, and time for another dialogue skip. Usually you have to meet Deep Cut here, but the trigger doesn't occur when you are passing through ooze that's disappearing. So, if you stand right here and ink the ground while it's disappearing, then move through as soon as it gets safe, which is just before it turns this weird reddish brown colour, it'll skip the cutscene. Make sure you go slightly diagonal and to the left, because the ground is curved. Also, it is better to sub-strafe to instantly go to full speed, but I forgot to do that in this clip. And then Deep Cut are too slow to properly introduce themselves to you. This is definitely the most difficult skip to practice, seeing as you only get 1 attempt per save file, but you can also just practice going through any ooze just as it gets safe. On to Site 2, in which you should grab this egg can, move up and grab this record, move around the tower and get another egg can, go up the tower and throw small fry onto this box, then hit this balloon and open this level, then do a cool backwards ink rail jump to get to the box and open it for a Sardinium. Now you should be able to upgrade to a better hero shot. This will make collecting the next few things a lot easier, which is jumping down and grabbing this decoration, and further down, getting this egg can. Now jump on up to the level you activated earlier, and fall down to this bit of the map, where you'll want to grab this power egg can, throw small fry onto this egg thing. Here we're breaking it as you grab this egg can and this record. Jump down to grab another egg can, and move around to the other side of these orange things and grab the decoration. Super jump back up to the level, and now it's time for our second ooze skip, skipping this 900. Stand right at the very edge. You can't ink the ground here, so it'll have to be a jump in kid form. Walk forwards a tiny bit, and then jump to hopefully land on the other side. If you miss, just jump back up to the level. Now, if you collected all the egg cans and got enough eggs in 1-1, you should be able to clear this 1000 ooze, and while that's happening, destroy the box beneath the grate. We'll grab the Sardinium that was in it later. Go up the rail, and now it's time to fight Fry. How Fry works is she basically has 4 attacks with her eels that she sends out. You want to hit back all the masked eels on her very first attack of each phase. Phase 1 randomizes between Downpour and 100 Eel Vision. The Vision attack is pretty simple, and if you get Downpour, just look up and remember which eels have the black eye patches, and when they fall down, just shoot them. Phase 2 will always start with Whirlpool, where you can just shoot as soon as they spawn, and move backwards so you have more time to shoot the masked eels. By Phase 3, you should have a Splashdown, so use that to take out most of the eels in her final attack, and just shoot the stragglers. With Fry fried, we can move on to Site 3, but not before we jump back to the boss kettle and grab the Sardinium in that box we opened before. That's why we didn't reset the game like the other bosses, or else this box would respawn. Also, fall down and grab 2 more egg packs. Clear the final ooze. You should have enough eggs because bosses drop a lot. Get this decoration, and now we move on to Site 3. All the required ooze in Site 3 can be skipped. The first one being right at the start. Activate this level as a safety, and if you ink the ground and the lip of ground on the other side, you can squid roll at a slightly more than 90-degree angle and land on the other side. Also, Site 3 is full of ice, so to move around quickly, swim onto the ice to use the physics in our favour. After doing the skip, grab the sard, swim across the ice to this dash track, and use it to get onto this area. Open this egg pack and throw small fry onto it to collect as we open up this level, just in case you die. Then, go around the back and get an egg pack, up this dash track to get a gold record, and then around the building to collect another egg pack. Do this cool looking jump to get one more pack, and then down and another cool jump to get the egg pack that Small Fry was opening this entire time. Now it's time for a cool speedrun skip. This one is pretty easy, just jump and activate the level before you fall into the water and die. Then respawn and super jump to it. And if you die, the kettle health gets replenished, so you can't just do it twice. But you also want to get the sardinium at the bottom, so a faster way of doing it is to jump, hit the level a bit, but land on the below part to grab the sard, and then jump to finish it off. Here we get to a split path. You can go to Site 4 or 5. We will obviously go to Site 4 because we need to kill Shiver, but this is also a cheaper way to get to the centre of Site 5, so we will come back here later. Now it's time for what I think is the most difficult skip in the entire game, maybe second to Owen's skip. This is Moxie Skip, discovered by Moxie. It skips the final ooze to go to Site 4, and the method is to just jump and hope you land past a checkpoint trigger. Aim carefully with Small Fry's aiming thingy to line up with the edge of those arrows. When you aim Small Fry, you will substrafe to instantly go to full speed. Move forward for a fraction of a second, then jump. If done correctly, you will go past a checkpoint trigger and respawn past the ooze. I like to use this little dot for guidance. If you're past it, you're good. Not entirely accurate though. This trick takes hours to learn and perfect, but when you do, it saves a couple thousand eggs, and lets us go straight to Site 4. Here at Site 4, the route for collecting all the egg cans and collectibles is a bit complicated and difficult to commentate on, so just here is an unedited run of Site 4. Also, you can do this skip if you want. It's really hard and only saves 300 power eggs, but if you go right to the very edge of the ink here, almost where it looks like you're on the grate, then move forward and do a squid roll at slightly more than 90 degrees, you land on the other side. Before entering Shiver, make sure to upgrade and get a fully upgraded hero shot. This makes Shiver a ton easier because she can still be shot when she is in the water. Keep the shooting constant as you move around and occasionally jump to dodge the tail swipes. After beating the shark up 3 times, reset the game to skip the cutscene and dialogue. You should have 3,800 power eggs. I didn't because I forgot about this one in Site 3. Super jump back to the place where we did Moxie skip, and clear the ooze to go to Site 5. Here you should grab one last egg can, go up this geyser and around to another ooze skip. Stand at the very edge of this block and jump and shoot at this kettle. Once opened, just super jump there. Clear this 800, do a very easy ooze skip by jumping across these fences, and now we are at the biggest ooze skip in the entire run. Owen skip. Skipping this 3,000. It was discovered by Owen Splat. It might look impossible at first, and to be honest it still kinda does, but here's what the trick looks like. To do this impossible jump, you'll first need to ink a tiny spot of ground that the developers missed when covering it in ooze. Throw a bomb, this should ink it, you can check by looking from the geyser, then stand in this exact right position, where your ink indicator lines up with a line on the geyser. Then aim small fry, throw him, wait for a quarter of a second, then move forward, and as the geyser is going up, do a squid roll. This will merge the motion of the geyser pushing you up and the squid roll flinging you to the side, and you should start flying across, hopefully landing in the little puddle of ink you made with the bomb. Which gets quite difficult because it becomes invisible when you get close. Once you land there, the rest is easy. Stay as a squid and just jump. Remember to jump soon after you start moving forward, or else you'll just fall into the ooze. Moving on to Site 6, which is really easy. There's only one ooze that needs to be cleared. Big man time. If you upgraded correctly, you should have an upgrade called Sensor. This will highlight the real big man when you are in squid form. So just shoot him. See which one is real, then shoot him, and repeat until he goes kaplooey. But if you were playing in an older version of Splatoon, anything below 2.0, you should be able to do a glitch known as menu storage. This glitch is very limited because you can't downgrade versions, but if you just bought Splatoon 3 and only want to speedrun it and don't care about multiplayer, here's how to set it up. Click Restart Level, and just before the game fades to black, click Return to Alterna. If there is no movement on the button, you're good. This will get the game in a kinda confused state and will be used later. I made another short explaining this a bit further. You can watch that, it'll be in the description. Next up, a really long unskippable cutscene. Have fun! Nether skip time. Just kidding, I don't recommend doing nether skip. You can if you want, I don't because of how difficult it is and it only saves 30 seconds. But basically you want to do a squid surge on this ledge here and go up to an above area. This will skip a cutscene with deep cut. Now, for the rocket levels, if you have menu storage, don't die. This will disable the glitch we set up earlier and we'll need it for later. Rocket 1 is pretty boring, nothing really fancy, just remember how to beat it and do it fast. Rocket 2 and 3 are pretty interesting though. When I mean interesting, I mean you don't need to do them. See, if you only destroy one line of boxes here and ink the ground near this pole, you can do a squid roll to get on top of the pole. Then you can just float up the pole to the very top and fall down. To do this, you'll need to squid roll right on the very edge of the pole, so your speed is kept. If done right, these weird ink particles should show up even when not in ink. Also, you need to hit the exact right spot. It's about there. Too far to the left and you'll just fall off, too far to the right and you'll go flying off the edge, and you can adjust where you are on the pipe or flying up it. But once you start falling the wrong way, you need to move the control stick to left to fall down out of bounds. Next, move around very carefully. Quite a few places out here don't have collision. Walk over to the boxes and jump across. This is why you should only destroy one line. Then do a big jump here. Make sure you jump far enough to jump past a death trigger. Then walk through this wall and walk across an invisible floor until we fall through and down to the end of Rocket 3, skipping nearly half of the rocket sequence. Rocket 4 has two parts. I call them the spiral part and the zipcaster part. The spiral part doesn't really have anything interesting happen, just know that you can swim past the bowling balls if you swim on the very edge. The zipcaster part is much more fun though. Take out the first group of energy cores and instead of walking on the switch, stand right next to it and aim at the door on the ceiling. Just where the door and the wall merge, then release R. Move back to hit the switch, and while the dialogue is happening, hold up on the control stick. When the talking finishes, you should be out of bounds. From here you can still climb up on the other side of the wall and move up, clipping to the unopened door to get to the next section, and move up until you get here. I like to get in this exact spot with these lines, then aim out towards literal nothing, and look right where the aiming thingy starts to move between clipping to a wall and a ceiling. Just when it looks like this. Then zip over there and quickly look up to clip to this part of the door. You should fall off, then just zip up one more time, and you should fall down on top of nothing. The rest is really easy, just clip back inbounds as so, then move into the cutscene trigger, and skip the rest of Rocket 4. After a long walk, we finally get to beat up the big bear. Well, after a 5-minute unskippable cutscene. Now, here's where the game really starts to split off depending on which version you have. After 2.0, the boss fight is done normally. Nothing really interesting to mention other than that you can use Small Fry to get rid of his pimples faster. Before 2.0, you can just simply pause the game. That wasn't a cut, Mr. Grizz is dead. Basically what menu storage does is that when you press the third button down, the game can't do it, because the level is being restarted. So it'll just press the third button down when it next gets the chance. But for Mr. Grizz, the third button down is the skip button, and should only be accessible after you beat him. But with menu storage, you can press the non-existent skip button and skip the entire fight. The second part of the fight is done normally, and the timing ends as soon as the little text that says ZR keep shooting fully disappears. And that is how to speedrun Splatoon 3. Bye.